Hey there, folks, and welcome back inside the Northern Fútbol Podcast. Ben Steiner alongside Brendan Dunlop and Alex Gangué-Ruzic, and a special extra Northern Fútbol this week. We've got Kevin Blue, CEO of Canada Soccer, joining us on the call. A big one today for Kevin Blue and Canada Soccer, announcing a whole slew of updates for the organization, including some information on World Cup tickets, which I know all of our listeners will be very excited about. But Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. And how are things, 11 months out from a World Cup here?
Yeah, well, thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it. As you might imagine, 11 months out, by certain timescales, 11 months is a long time. By preparing for the biggest sporting event in human history to be domestically hosted and for our team to perform, it feels like it's tomorrow. So all of us in the organization are sprinting as fast as we can and understand and embrace the responsibility of making the World Cup experience great for Canadian soccer fans.
And making sure that the World Cup isn't just a blip in the system, making sure that this is a growth moment. Can you tell us a bit about what Canada Soccer is doing to really make sure that this thing has an extended pathway?
Yeah, I mean, this is, thank you. It's a really important question, and it's something that we think about all the time, right? Like in a worst case scenario, the event comes and goes, people tune in for a little bit, high five each other when we score and then go about their business again, and not much is different. So it's our responsibility as the National Federation to make sure that we're taking advantage of moments like these to create like a step function change in the sport in all ways, in participation, in commercial viability, et cetera. So there's really four things that we're focused on. One, of course, is making sure that the team is in position to be successful and compete successfully and inspire millions and millions of Canadians. And in so doing, there's side effects of that, right? Like a long run in the tournament that's compelling will create viewership demand for soccer going forward in all forms. So it creates a better commercial marketplace if we do perform amazingly well, which we are hoping to. Second thing is we want to acknowledge the reality that the visibility of this tournament in the public's consciousness is going to mean that there's a lot of people that generally don't interact with soccer that now are going to have soccer awareness. So we're working with at the club level actually to help clubs think about and be prepared for and take advantage of this kind of additional visibility that's on the sport, because there's probably many, many families that as we go forward are going to be considering soccer participation for the first time. So we've started like a multi-year project called Club Plus, which we are allowing clubs to opt into and participate as they wish. But essentially it's a bunch of marketing support, resources, templates for things like municipal government relations on facilities, thinking about how to attract people to become registered players, coaches, and referees if they don't have a background in soccer. So this is a service that we're trying to provide directly to clubs to see participation growth in the World Cup. The third thing is the World Cup presents obviously an important opportunity for our federation to evolve and strengthen its business model and our financial model. And the main thing we're focusing on here is the growth of the foundation and philanthropy as a revenue stream. And we're having some really good success there so far and look forward to more. And we're thinking about this in a number of ways, especially if you think long-term about the viability and the continued growth of traditional revenue streams like government funding, right? Like, even though government funding for Canada Soccer is a very small percentage of our overall revenue, it's still important, but we're trying to make sure that we're taking into consideration sort of modern and future realities about what may or may not be available and trying to diversify our revenue streams. The World Cup is an opportunity to move the business forward. And then the fourth thing is we do think long-term about legacy. Not only are we trying to transform our organization and participation, but we think about things like capital projects, right? And we think about things like facilities. And that one we're still unpacking and working on with a bunch of different stakeholders. But look, I go to bed every day worried about the time that's left between now and the World Cup, and highly focused on the fact that we really need everybody involved has to really make sure that we're achieving transformation rather than just kind of a blip, as you guys have put it.
It's exciting for us as Canadians, Kevin, to hear that there's a structure and a plan, because while there was always, I think, good intentions within the organization, one of the things that really lacked, over the course of decades, and this is something that several alumni players told you, I know in your early days, and continue to speak about, that there wasn't always a plan, or it didn't feel that way. And a lot of the players across different generations, can tell the same stories, which isn't the case in a lot of other soccer countries, which Canada has truly become now, and we'll soak this up with this 2026 moment. Of all of the things that you're working on at the moment and all the things that are important, I mean, I'm curious about the philanthropic growth and how much easier that sell perhaps has become, or that wooing those interests have become over the last year. Have those conversations, has that part of this growth and this revenue construction been better or different than you expected maybe a year ago?
So I think there's a couple aspects to it. The first is people love soccer in this country. Lots of people love soccer, and lots of people that have capacity to make a big difference philanthropically love soccer. And what we're trying to do through the foundation is provide a professional, modernized vehicle for them to express their support, and they are. And we're eager to talk more about this publicly as the summer goes on. But we're approaching sort of a robustness of a revenue stream that is it's now very material, and it's material to the point of being very complementary, if not at some point potentially exceeding commercial revenue down the road. So this is good. I would say that people also want to be part of growing and thriving opportunities. They're seeing the progress that the teams have made. They're seeing the players. They're seeing the sport grow in this country. And of course, they're seeing the domestic co-hosted World Cup, and everybody wants to be associated with and part of things that show promise, right? A lot of there's a lot of misunderstandings about fundraising. Like, people give to things that have need, certainly, but the most powerful case of support is something that shows promise. People want to support something that they feel is professionally operated and shows promise. And we hope that our players, coaches, our programs in the grassroots are increasingly showing that and inspiring confidence among people that are making these contributions.
Kevin, next 11 months is going to be massive off the field. I think we know that, but also, a good World Cup also happens on the field, and there's been huge growth since you've arrived with Jesse Marsh, and just the growth of the men's program last summer. How has that been, especially your relationship with Jesse Marsh? He continues to say lots of great things about you. He since he's come in has gone above and beyond, it feels like, to not just help the team but help the sport around it. Casey Stoney has since come in and has kind of had that same commitment. I'm kind of curious, is that kind of an expectation of both, or is that just something that they want to do? And how important is it to have people like that on the footballing side guiding you?
I mean, it's everything. I'm not a footballing person. I'm hopefully good at identifying and recruiting and hiring people that do have those capabilities, and then empowering them and staying out of their way when it comes to the actual football. And that's how I've tried to, lead. And I think that we're going to see more of that going forward. I would say that with both national team head coaches, they understand the responsibility of being a custodian of the programs. Like, they view themselves as invested in, and not only responsible for the performance of the first teams, but as custodians of the growth of Canadian football at this critical time. And this is like things that they wanted to do, right? Like, I don't have to force Jesse or Casey to do these things that some people view as extras. This is who they are, and that's why they're good fits for what we're trying to do and what the country needs right now. And it's intellectually interesting to them both, and they are the right people to be role models and drivers of progress in the system writ large. And I think that as we continue to make progress, the two senior head coaches are absolutely on the sort of at the forefront of that, and will be for some time as we go forward.
And I'm sure you've also heard that last time out at the World Cup, the jerseys were a big hot topic issue for Canadian fans. Can you give any update on jerseys and merchandising? Will Canada have a new look for 2026?
Yes. The answer is yes. It's I don't know what's the cool thing to say now. It's going to be fire lit. You guys know. I mean, maybe Ben, you know. So let you guys.
Single out the young guy Ben. I love it.
I think people should be excited about the kits for 26. I think people should be excited about what we have in store with our partners at Nike longer term than that, and as we look ahead to 27. Some insights, I guess, for people around the kit is that the lead time on the design process, on the consultation with the players, on the manufacturing process, the supply chain, this is a multi-year process. So not to speak for what may or may not have happened in 2022, but if there was not some level of confidence amongst the folks in the supply chain that Canada was going to be in the World Cup, they wouldn't have started early enough. And so it's possible that was what happened. I don't know. I obviously watched as a fan and didn't have the same access that I do now, but I can speak to the fact that our partners at Nike are doing a phenomenal job, and people should be excited about this. And I'm sure that there's going to be lots of new product on people's shoulders proudly being supported in Canada for the next few years.
Kevin, just to that point, to hop in quickly, of course, we kind of laugh about, kits because it's something small. But at the same time, over the past few years, we talk about revenue streams, we talk about increasing visibility, accessibility. How important is it to push something as simple as kits and making sure that they're available for fans in such a crucial moment? And, how has that been a priority? Because obviously, like we've seen in the past, it maybe wasn't as much as it should have been.
Yeah, it's important. It's also very complicated, right? Like the retail operation depends on third parties. Third parties have to take certain risks on inventory. Third parties have to have the confidence that the demand for the product is going to be there as they take that inventory risk. We can encourage them to take the inventory risk all they want, but they actually have to do it. It's their money. And so this is why things like, a compelling set of performances and inspiring set of performances as we get into these really high visibility opportunities to drive the fan avidity and to drive the interest has so many trickle down effects in things like merchandise sales, which has these follow on effects of like from a licensing and retail standpoint, product is more available, right? Because the retail operations around Canada have lots of confidence that fans love the team and they're going to buy the stuff. So it all goes back to the product on the pitch, which we're very acutely aware of, and I'm hopeful that you'll see some of the echoes of that embodied in things like more kit availability and other things that fans are really eager for.
Fans are super eager to experience this in person in both Toronto and Vancouver, Kevin. But there are a lot of fans are concerned that it might not be accessible to World Cup tickets. It's the biggest event in the world, and you and I both live in Toronto. And when it comes to tickets, it seems like the Toronto Maple Leafs kind of set the ceiling for ticket pricing across the continent. But of course, the World Cup is its own beast. You've introduced the Canada Red program and Canada Plus. Tell us a little bit about the ticketing and maybe what that ticketing experience will be like, because unlike home matches or unlike tournaments, you're not in control of all that. This is a FIFA ticketed event, so it makes things like the jerseys a little more complicated than it might seem on the surface.
Yeah, the obviously FIFA operates and runs the World Cup and sets policies, et cetera. And I think the market is also important for people to be contemplating. Like, I know we live in Toronto. Like Coldplay was just here. The tickets for Coldplay were very, very expensive, right? The Toronto Maple Leafs playoff tickets are very expensive. The market for sort of high-end sports and entertainment has accelerated dramatically in the last little while. And if you think of causal variables for this, like everyone followed the Taylor Swift stuff, right? Like there's a lot of things that are driving the sort of high end of the market for these amazing event experiences. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I don't know the answer to that. I obviously, in some ways, we would want everybody who wants to experience the World Cup to be able to experience it. And we don't like the fact that if people are priced out, that there's a negative experience there. We don't like that. At the same time, if you look at the price of soccer tickets relative, and I'm not commenting on the World Cup because I don't know the prices specifically. FIFA has not communicated this yet. But if you look at soccer relative to other sports and entertainment options, in Canada, it has been on the less expensive side of the spectrum. Again, that's not to downplay price and the importance of accessibility. As it relates to Canada Red, what we're trying to do is extend upon a system that existed for the Qatar World Cup, right? It started years ago. We've enhanced and expanded the categories. We've expanded the investment levels. We've done this to align more with what is happening in other federations like the U.S. Federation, which has a very analogous program. Mm-hmm. We are trying to augment, again, our revenue streams so that we can directly reinvest the money into the sport, right? We're a nonprofit, mission-driven organization. We don't make net income. We take the money that we make and we grow things like the number of youth camps for our youth national teams. We do things like make sure that our coaching education programs and our coach mentorship programs for Canadian coaches are well funded. we do things like focus on participation programs and accessibility programs that are youth facing. So people who are making contributions through Canada Red should take comfort in the fact that that money is being directly reinvested into the sport. People don't have to make a contribution to Canada Red to be eligible for the World Cup ticket lottery. There will be tickets available at the free tiers as well. And we are doing our best to try to give consideration and accommodation to groups like the Voyageurs, alumni, Hall of Famers, registered players, coaches and referees, volunteers. Like we're trying to strike the right balance between how do we, have a system for allocating tickets that is going to be based on the Canada Red tiers, but also fair and in recognition of the fact that there are other groups that have been supported for a very long time. And when you think about it, it's 8%. We have access to 8% of the inventory for games that Canada's playing in. 92% is controlled by people that aren't us. So this is it's a challenge. It's a good problem to have. This is a problem of prosperity, and we're sensitive to it all and the dynamics, and we're trying our best to handle it as reasonably as possible.
And lastly, we've also seen issues over the years of Canada Soccer business. Of course, a new head of Canada Soccer business. Yeah. What is that situation looking like, and what will that look like over the next few years as well?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you all that I've met in detail at length with James Johnson, the new CEO of CSB, several times. I think we're like either meeting 5 or meeting 6 or whatever, and we're talking about several hours each time, in which we're trying to get to know each other, get to know each other's perspectives about our various businesses, figure out the right sort of path to work together moving forward in a very productive way. I'll say James is very capable. He's professional. He's experienced, as you all know. He was recently the CEO of the FA in Australia, so he has a firsthand expertise and experience and empathy for what it's like to be operating a federation, and that shapes his perspective on how we build the right ecosystem together for soccer in this country. It's a priority for both of us to continue to move forward productively to get to a better situation, and I've already seen some positive changes in the working relationship, and I'm eager for more. And so, without getting into the specifics, of course, I can reassure fans and others who are interested in this that both entities are really urgent to try to move forward in a positive direction.
For Brendan and Alex, I've been Ben, and thanks so much, Kevin, for joining us here today.
All right, appreciate you guys. Thank you.